10 cheapies for life. This video is not nearly as easy to make as it might seem. Now, I am a big fan of cheaper fragrances, or cheaper, more affordable fragrances. Not stuff that smells cheap. Just a fan of being able to own fragrances that are affordable and share them with you because they are affordable and they're not going to be something that's going to really break your, wallet. But what I have today are going to be 10 fragrances. A couple of them are more or less blanket fragrances, basically covering the entire genre of a fragrance that are affordable, and they would be one genre of fragrances that I would have in my collection for life. And they happen to be affordable. Now, I did see Ross at TLTG do a video very similar to this, probably this exact video, which kind of motivated me to get to this. Down in the description of this video, you'll see where I've linked his video, and if you want to go watch that one too. But let's get into it. Number 10 on this list is going to be basically a blanket of a type of fragrance, or more or less a place to go to get fragrances. Number 10 is going to be fragrances from places like TJ Maxx, rack store fragrances. These are the cheaper kind of fragrances that you can find that are somewhat like this. This fragrance in particular is called Impact. It is an EDC concentration. It has notes of driftwood, salted musk, and bergamot. And again, this is a EDC concentration. So a lot of the time at places like TJ Maxx, they have these type of fragrances. These are more or less just out the shower kind of freshy fragrances. They're not designer really, they're just, and honestly a lot of time I'm not really sure where these fragrances come from that kind of show up at TJ Maxx. This one in particular comes from Illinois. But yeah, so this would be just basically a type of genre of fragrances that I would run through. I'll probably keep one of these for after I get out of the shower, something that I can spray pretty heavily, not really be concerned about it costing a lot of money. And a lot of the time, the fragrances that you get there are going to be EDC concentration, so they won't last quite as long as your normal EDT or EDP concentration kind of fragrances. And just so you guys can see, it still has its TJ Maxx sticker on there. This one happened to be, I think, $12.99 it says. And again, guys, number 10 is going to be basically TJ Maxx rack store fragrances. And now a lot of time at rack stores, you actually see nice designer fragrances. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to the ones that you go in there and there's no name, kind of like this one, or like Forest by a Modern Gentleman. Yeah, this one's even better than this one, honestly. And this one also costs $12.99. But again, this is a TJ Maxx fragrance. You won't ever see this one on anything like FragranceNet or places like that. And number 9 on this list is going to also be a blanket kind of a fragrance choice. It's going to go to not YSL, but to decants. Decants are very affordable, whether they be things like colognes, for example, this is from Sensual Obsessions, or they could be things like Zaharoff Signature Pour Homme. This is a sample size of his fragrance. Now, you guys can get these for free off his website, I believe, but if I had to limit it down to 10 affordable fragrances to keep in my collection, I would definitely have decants of more expensive fragrances. Just because if I have 10 fragrances, it's still gonna take me a while to pass through or to go through a decant, especially if like me and like to rotate your fragrances. And if you are wanting to get more into decants, there is a website in my description that you can go to and take a look at a bunch of the new fragrances, a bunch of ones that have been around for a while. But there is a discount code there that you can use and get like 5% off. And just so you know, I will be doing a list like this come the colder weather. This is basically gonna be my top 10 cheapy fragrances for like spring, summer, warmer weather. So this list is going to change, or would change if you asked me to have 10 for life for winter. I couldn't narrow it down to just 10. I'm going to be here for a while, so I'm going to do one in the spring and then one again later on in the year. Number 8 goes to the Cheap Sauvage, or Cheaper Sauvage. It's going to go to Dylan Blue by Versace. Now this thing is not nearly as enjoyable for me as Sauvage is, but it is still a very enjoyable fragrance. It is blue, it is generic. If I had to pick a cheaper this style fragrance, this would be one that I'd go with. Now my issue with this is that there's not a lot of performance with it. The performance is kind of lackluster. It doesn't really project out like I thought it would, but the compliment factor on this is still very high. It has that sweetness to it. It's a bit more youthful than Dior Sauvage, but it's something that I would 100% reach for if I had to pick Dior Sauvage style fragrance without having to actually go out and buy a Dior product. Now one that works at that place that's also even cheaper than Versace Dylan Blue is this by Bath & Body Works called Midnight. And just so you guys can get a look at this one, this is very similar to Dior Sauvage. It kept it a little bit fruitier to my nose than Dior Sauvage is, especially in the opening, but the dry down is like 90% the same to me. And the really cool thing about this is like travel size. It's basically a decant. Now this one's gonna be a bit more soapy than the Dylan Blue. It's gonna be actually a bit closer to Sauvage than Dylan Blue is. Dylan Blue is gonna be one that, in terms of the longevity, is a bit longer on this than it is on the Bath & Body Works. This projects out a little better for me initially than this does. but this one might last maybe an hour longer on my skin than the Bath & Body Works. Again, for me, it's definitely not the performance that is the same for this. It's just a scent. But you guys know that I'm a big fan of Dior Sauvage, and if I had to go for a cheaper option, it was something like this. And next, what we have here is going to be something that typically will be worn in the colder weather, but it's something that I would throw on for like a date night in the spring or summer. It is a tobacco-based fragrance, so you're probably like, why would he put that into his spring or summer? It's because it smells nice. It smells real nice and it's affordable. It's going to go to Dolce & Gabbana, the 1 EDP. Now, like I said, this would be a good one for the winter, but it's going to be great for, or it would be great for a spring and summer date night fragrance. This would probably be that one for me. And if I was able to, I'd probably rotate this with something like the original Dolce & Gabbana, the 1. If I had to pick just the one fragrance, it would be this one over the original. And like I said, I'm probably going to make another list come the colder weather that this might actually be on it too. And we'll see, because I do have other tobacco-based fragrances that I think might be a little better than this. And number 6, guys, you probably could have seen coming from a mile away if you've been here for a while. It is a great spring fragrance. It's a masculine white floral grapefruit fragrance. You know what this is? It is Lacoste Blanc. This is a cheapie. It's affordable, and it smells fantastic. This is going to be in every single one of my designer keep for life fragrances. I might even throw it into like a niche list just because I want to. If it was like the opposite of niche, I might still do it. I'll probably throw it like number 1 and just see like who guesses it. You know what I mean? Now the only thing about this is that I wish it would last a little longer on my skin. The opening's great. I wish that opening lasted for the entirety of the fragrance, but it dries down into a masculine white floral fragrance with the grapefruit kind of dials back and tones back, so it's not quite as prominent in the dry down as it is in the opening. I still wish that I could find a fragrance that had that grapefruit throughout the entirety of the fragrance, but one day I'll find that fragrance. And next would be something that I would wear instead of a fragrance. It's something that would be a suitable replacement for it. It goes to Aqua E by Cedar Ferragamo. This was one of the first fragrances that actually surprised me coming from a rack store. Like, I'd never worn a Cedar Ferragamo fragrance. I never even really knew who that person was outside of some of his clothing, but I'd never had known he had a fragrance. So when I saw this one hyped up online, I was really excited when I saw it at the store. I grabbed it quicker than I've grabbed any rack store fragrance. I'm walking out to my car, and again, I don't have the highest hope for it, but then I'm just like, eyes lit up, and I saw like the future of every video I was gonna be putting this into. It's kind of cool. Then it spent like 4 months in my gym bag every day after the gym, putting it on. This was basically my signature scent for a while. You guys can see here after the gym, this thing kind of was really a signature scent. I wasn't spraying very heavily after the gym, but that 2 to 3 sprays, 3 to 5 days a week. And again, guys, that is Aqua E by Cedar Ferragamo. Now, number 4 might surprise you here. It's honestly starting to surprise me. This is where I stand right now. This could change. This could change depending on how I feel about this fragrance later on. But right now, this is where this one is versus the other. If I was able to keep this along with that other fragrance, I would, but this is going to go to Blue Seduction by Antonio Banderas. Now, the other fragrance that I'm referring to here would be Nautica Voyage, but the melon note that's in this KOs Voyage in terms of being a fresh blue fragrance out the shower fragrance. This is off my skin, it performs better. I know someone in the comments said that this doesn't last very long on their skin. It does on mine, and honestly smells better coming off my skin than Nautica Voyage does. I don't understand why this is not revered as highly as that is. Plus, this is cheaper per milliliter than that is. I mean, this is 200 mLs for like 25 bucks, I think it was, 20 bucks, crazy. But guys, this is an aquatic melon fragrance, that's what it is. It might not look very much like a melon, but you can tell that it's definitely a blue aquatic style fragrance. And again, guys, that is Blue Seduction by Antonio Banderas. And number 3 on this list is, again, is going to be basically a blanket of type of fragrances. It's going to be Aventus style fragrances that aren't Aventus. For example, what I have here is Rebel by Pete and Pedro. So this fragrance isn't necessarily an exact clone of Aventus, but the opening is definitely inspired by it. I'm just a big fan of the pineapple note in fragrances, and the somewhat of a amber dry down. This is very nice. But again, this is basically a blanket of a type of fragrance. Like I said, a Aventus style fragrance without actually buying Aventus, minus having a decant, if I had to choose. Again, this one is really nice. I cannot wait to get this one somewhere. Like I said, I will be bringing you guys my Tiege Hanley review tomorrow. It was gonna be today, but I need to find the way to film that appropriately. And I'm gonna show you guys how I plan on using this in that routine. But guys, number 3 was Aventus style fragrances. And number 2 is gonna go to a legend of a fragrance. It's one that's been around since the 80s. It has not really gone away. There has been, hundreds of clones of it, but it's gonna go to Davidoff Cool Water. Again, this is the mild deodorant spray. This is not the actual fragrance itself, which you need to get. This is clean, this is crisp. This is definitively a out of the shower fresh fragrance that lasts a long time. It's timeless, it smells good. Not everyone around you is gonna smell like this, honestly. I mean, there are a lot of people that use this, but I have yet to run across too many people that, wear this as their daily fragrance. It is really nice on top of wearing it with my Old Spice. whatever deodorant I'm wearing. It's like Green Irish Tweed, but like 20 bucks. And number one, you should know what this is. This is one that I fell in love with at first spray. This is one that I will for sure keep in my collection. I haven't been wearing it a lot here recently. I'm probably gonna give it some wear here really soon, but it's gonna go to Blue, Cedar, and Cypress by Cremo. And guys, one thing about having a list of fragrances that you're gonna keep, Cheapies that you're gonna keep for life, you have to make sure that they're cheap and that they're affordable. It's one that you can get at your local Target. And not only do they have just colognes, they also have body washes and things that can go along with it. Plus, I would really like to know who is their perfumer, if they actually have one. They did a fantastic job with these. This is great. It lasts a long time, it projects. It's an EDT, it's not an EDC. It is a good fragrance, yes. And they obviously spent more time on the fragrance than they did the bottle. The bottle is very reminiscent of like a barbershop, but without it being like a barbershop fragrance. This honestly is somewhat of a barbershop-y kind of green fragrance, but it projects well, it lasts, and it smells really good. Especially coming off my skin, it smells fantastic. And what you get with it is the Blue Cedar and the Cypress. There's no real difference in there. I remember one of the notes that was listed in this was like lemon leaf, I think. So you do have a bit of a crisp green note that's somewhat earthy in it, but again, it still is a very, very pleasant fragrance. And again, you guys, that is the 10 Cheapies for life in terms of spring fragrances. I couldn't narrow this down to 10. This for life, I'm gonna have to do another one fall or winter. But guys, like I always say, thank you for coming and watching my video. I really appreciate that a lot. But like I always say, keep it gent and love your scent, and I will see you all tomorrow.